Hello everyone, PCPick30 here. I thought I would start a sub-tutorial series on programming GSC, like the basics. It seems that everyone is copying and pasting codes from everyone and all this other stuff, and in reality, it seems that no one knows what they're doing. And to me, I think that programming is not really that hard. So what I would like to do is teach you guys on the simplest way on how to program in GSC. GSC is Central Game Studio Coding, and it's and GSC comes from the Quake C programming language, which is originally made for the Quake game by ID. If you ever have gone on Call of Duty 4 or something like that and see copyrights to ID, you can know why. Quake is ripped of Call of Duty. Correction me. Call of Duty is ripped of Quake. My bad. So, I thought let's start. The first thing you need to know for programming is, in general, variables and the types of variables. Now, before we go all technical on things, really, all programming is just instructions. It's logic. That's all a computer has. It's do this or do that. And it just checks things, and it stores data, information, does calculations, does mathematics, does different sorts of things. But people tend to think it's hard because they make it hard. But if you break it down into simpler sections, it's really not that hard in general. So the first thing I would like to do is show the basic data types for GSC, and these are actually applied to nearly any programming language. So the first we'll do is a string. In GSC, every single line, at least most of the time, will require a semicolon. That means the end of that line. If you don't put that, you'll get a syntax error. Most of you know that in one way or another. Now, whoopsie, TH. Now, you probably recognize something like this in the past. A string, in general, is just text. It's just, that's all it is. It's just text in general. That's all it really is. And I found that on a small note that it seems that in Call of Duty, a variable as a string can have a limit like 255 characters in it. Not sure the exact number, but I do know there is a character limit for a string variable. Now, the next type is a number. That's a number. Setting it to 1, setting it to 5, whatever. Now, there's also, you can have like 66666, or yeah, that's you guys know that as a decimal, and programming, that's referred to as a float. Not really that hard in general. Now, a variable in general is like, for example, in algebra, when you were solving for x or solving for y, x equals 1, y equals 5, or something of that sort. But you can think of x and y as variables. They're like a variable. They're like a letter or something of that sort that contains value. Same thing here, but these contain different values. They can contain different types of data. You can also think the same thing when you're doing spreadsheets. A cell might have a string, it might have text, it might have a date, it might have integer, it might have a formula. It all comes together. It's just different terminology. It's really all the same. So you have a string, you have an integer, you have a decimal. If you want to say if someone's, we'll just use we might have a variable as a tall for just asking if a person's tall or something, and for this we can put a proper for that we can put true. Now these are true is only would only have true or false. That's what you refer to a boolean, true or false. Let's see now. I've covered string, integer, decimal, boolean. Let's see. Now one interesting thing that you may have noticed is that for Call of Duty, you can store a reference to a function. So we have function ABC or something that has some code there that we could do and it basically stores a reference to ABC. More or less, a reference is a function to run stores basically saying is kind of linked now to kind of stores the function ABC. And if you ever notice in GSC, you can actually go to the self, and basically what that does is that those brackets mean that that variable contains a function. And it runs that function. So those are commonly used. So that variable can have store a function pretty much, and pretty much run it and pass whatever to it. So if you ever notice that, that's really what that is. Not that it's actually very useful for the game and for multiple things. Not going to go into exactly what, but I have seen it is very handy of a function. And if we did not have that, then mod menus, as you know, would not be possible. Now, here's what's really the most complicated thing that people have trouble understanding is arrays. Now say your mother wanted you to go to the grocery store to get some get some food, and you got a list of something. Well, that list is an array in general. So if you have 5 items, and it's like bread, milk, water, but just as random food in general, then basically that's just a list. And in general, those are all items in the list. Now, for programming in arrays, you basically, an array is a list, but the contents of the list are variables, not exactly items. And since the contents of the list are a variable, then what a variable is applies to it. So a variable can have text, integer, decimal, a boolean value, or a function. So in general, an array or a list could have a variable that contains that data. So for in GSC, if we want to do, we can make our array that syntax, the brackets right there, specify that our array is now an array. That's its data type. That's what type of variable it is. Now you can have our array, the first item equals red, a string. Now hold up. What's with this 0? Usually a list starts at 1, not 0. Well, every single, in any language, arrays always start at 0. That's the first of it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It never will start at 1. Now 1 can be an item in the list, number 1, but 0 is always the first. So whenever we're doing this, we increase the list, we increase it by 1, we increase it down, put milk, zero, 1. Oopsie, my bad. It needs to be 2. I skipped a number. My bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. O-N. Now, our array now has, the contents of our array now would be 0, red, 1, milk, 2, water, 3, cereal, 4, onion. And it starts at 0. The first one is 0. That's really all an array is. And so we added 5. So we added 5 right here. Of course, we can. It doesn't have to be a string. If we want an item, we can read any variable, any type of variable. So, what if we did that? Recognize here, create an array. We have it's an array or a list inside of a list. What we refer to that is as a multi-dimensional. So it has it's a multi-level list. So we have item 5. It's an array or slash list, and it can have items. So that's really how that works. Not that hard, I don't think. Now, there is another concept to an array that I will not go into right now. Possibly into a part 2 of this, because I am kind of running out of time on the YouTube limit here. But this is all really it is: string, integer, decimal, true, false, a function. A function that is stored to a variable, and a list array. So, hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and don't forget to visit GoToMine.com. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Tell me if I'm doing bad. Tell me if I'm sucking at doing these tutorials. Tell me if I'm too loud, because I think my last video I was way too flipping loud after I listened to it. Tell me if I'm being too technical. I'm trying to be simple here. I know this stuff can be very technical wise, but in general it doesn't have to be. So if you're still watching me, give me feedback. This is PC30 signing off.